When you hear the old school Resident Evil fans talk about how great the games were back in the day, you might hear them mention a game called Dino Crisis. Now, I've heard of Dino Crisis, I've seen it, and Dino Crisis is commonly known as Resident Evil with dinosaurs. And that didn't sound so great to me because I'm not the biggest dinosaur guy. Like, I think dinosaurs are cool and all, but trying to make dinosaurs scary, like Jurassic Park kind of tried to do that back in the day. Love those movies, but I never found it to be scary, and that just sounded dumb to me. So I didn't go into Dino Crisis so hyped about the theme, but I said, well, I like Resident Evil 1 so much, and if this is basically the same thing, I'm sure to like this. Only to discover that all these years of people saying that Dino Crisis is just Resident Evil with dinosaurs is a really bad representation of exactly what Dino Crisis provides. Now, before we dive deeper in this review, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the hype button. The hype button is commonly found on mobile devices, so you may have to go on your phone to see it. All of this is free and it helps the channel. I'm grateful for every one of my viewers. Thank you for stopping by, as you could be doing anything else with your time. Thank you, and let's get back into the review. So what does Dino Crisis share with Resident Evil? Well, the overall feel and controls are the same. You have dynamic camera angles, you have tank controls, you have lock-on aiming. They don't have pre-rendered backgrounds anymore. This game actually uses polygons for most of its backgrounds and environments, and that does play a role in the gameplay, which we'll get into later. Overall, this game at its surface is similar to Resident Evil, but the way it took the foundation of Resident Evil and turned it on its head makes Dino Crisis its own thing. The biggest difference between Dino Crisis and Resident Evil is in its name. This is a game about dinosaurs and not zombies. And to make this game feel differently than Resident Evil, they gave the dinosaurs a very dynamic AI system, and they changed the overall flow that Resident Evil had. This game may share the same elements as Resident Evil, doing combat, solving puzzles, and discovering the environment that you're in by exploring, but the way they change the percentages is very different. Starting with combat, the basics are the same. You'll have a gun and you'll do the auto aim thing and you'll shoot. You need to make sure you manage your bullets and things like that, because Dino Crisis compared to Resident Evil, there's way less bullets in this game than Resident Evil ever had. And because you're fighting dinosaurs, these guys can take way much more of a beating than any old plain zombie. So if you combine smarter and tougher enemies and even less bullets than Resident Evil, what are you to do? Well, before we get directly into fighting, let's talk about the other strategy, which you'll do more of, which is running away. In Dino Crisis, there are booby traps throughout the map. There are these laser barriers that you could turn on. The whole game wants you to run away from dinosaurs and then quickly turn on these switches and block the dinosaurs from chasing you. The more you understand the map and the layout and where you need to go, the more you can plan ahead, knowing where you can block off dinosaurs and where you can leave them alive, because you'll just never have to deal with them again. And the cool thing about this is that you could block off dinosaurs that are blocking your path, but you don't want to go past them because maybe you can't kill them or you're afraid to fight them at the moment. A lot of Dino Crisis actually allows you to go into the ceiling through the vents and then travel around the map that way. So there's a way to get around the barriers that you set to protect yourself. And you would think with the quote unquote jankiness of tank controls that running past dinosaurs would be difficult. The nice thing about Dino Crisis is that most of the times you're in wide, like hallways that are wider than most Resident Evil hallways. And there's like 1 or 2 dinosaurs at a time. There's rarely a moment where I had to fight 3 at once. You can run past 1. It's more challenging to run past 2. You can't run past 3 the few times that happened to me. But thankfully, if you're in a predicament where you ran forward and next thing you know, oh, dinosaurs in front of me, I need to turn around. There's a quick turn in this game where you can easily turn around and run towards any door to escape, or run towards a barrier to set up a barrier if you need to. Now, this is where the dinosaur AI plays in. For the most part, the dinosaurs just attack you and they'll pounce on you, and they have different moves, right? Like one dinosaur like just charged at me with his head and slammed me into a wall. They'll bite you, they'll try to tear off your arm and stuff. You got to tap all the buttons and get them off you. One of the cool things is, the coolest thing I've seen is that a dinosaur can swat the gun out your hand and it drops, and you have to find it and pick it up. And if you don't, you just won't have that gun anymore. When that first happened to me, I was so surprised. My mouth, I just was shocked they even put this in the game. What also blew me away, going back to that dinosaur AI, if you think just blocking off dinosaurs in hallways is all you need to do, just block them off in the hallway and kill them later if you want to. What can happen, and this is how I discovered this, is that I thought this game took away the feature that Resident Evil have of, in Resident Evil, if you kill the zombies in a hallway, they don't spawn back in unless something in the story triggers more of them to spawn in, which was a way to have a strategy of saying, if I clear this hallway, it'll be safe if I ever have to run through here again. So I thought that was in Dino Crisis, and it is. The reason why I thought it didn't is because I killed the dinosaur, the only one that was in that hallway. When I returned, it was a new one there, so I thought, oh, they spawned them in again. This is what's actually happening. Dinosaurs can actually open doors in this game. Now, there's a limitation to this. Let's say you're in a hallway, and in this hallway, there are multiple rooms. Any dinosaur in that hallway or any one of those rooms that's in this little block can come out of a door. Now, the way that you don't see this unless you're in a room, whether it be a hallway or in an actual room itself. Then if you walk in that room for a little while, you will get a cutscene where a dinosaur will pop in and scare you, and then you got to fight it or whatever, or run past it. Sometimes that happens, but you don't see it. And those are the moments where if you thought, oh, I killed all the dinosaurs here, but there's a new one here, they just spawn them in. That's not happening. That dinosaur just moved from a different room. I thought that was so cool once I figured it out. And that plays into the AI system they made for the dinosaurs, because the dinosaurs here are very smart. Like I said, they can knock guns out your hand. They have different moves. They know when to pounce on you. And there's actually a cool thing. If the dinosaur is right about to pounce on you, jump in the air. If you fire at it, shoot it, it'll take critical hit damage. But they also can do, like, you know, in Resident Evil, we used to play this game where if a object is blocking you and a zombie, you can just run around it and, you know, make sure the zombie doesn't attack you. Not in Dino Crisis. These dinosaurs know that game. So if there's a table between you and a dinosaur, if you run around it long enough, guess what it'll do? It'll jump on the table and try to pounce on you. I had one that kept jumping on the table and I kept shooting, and I said, you know, I'm just thinking, like, just keep coming. I'm gonna just keep shooting at you. Then finally it learned, hey, I'm taking damage this way. Then it decided to circle around the table instead. Then there's the craftable ammo. Although ammo types are scarce, you can craft ammo in this game for your shotgun. You can make darts that have different degrees of tranquilizers and even a poison that's an insta-kill. The cool thing about this is that you can use this to your advantage. You can trank a dinosaur, make them go to sleep, and if it was a strong enough tranquilizer, they might still be asleep the next time you go into the room. Matter of fact, dinosaurs could just be asleep in a room in general, and you can walk past them, and as long as you don't make enough noise or get close to them, they won't bother you. So that's a strategy you can use to your advantage, and the most deadliest ammo type of all are the poison darts, which are insta-kill, but to craft them and to make them, and I barely found any, is difficult. So I wouldn't waste these. If you do get your hands on any of them, if you need to use it, it's an insta-kill, go all out. Another cool mechanic from the dinosaurs is that they actually can sort of play dead. So if you do a lot of damage to them, they may lay on the ground and not move. Dinosaurs aren't dead until you see pools of blood. If it's on the floor and it's not pools of blood around it, it's still alive and it'll get up and attack you. Before you realize this, Regina will actually know it because she'll keep aiming at the dinosaur. And as a matter of fact, there are times you'll enter a room and you'll notice this head mechanic, which is used for dinosaurs that play dead or just dinosaurs that's off camera. She will actually look at them. So even if you can't see a dinosaur or you don't realize that the dinosaur laying in front of you that you shot a few times isn't actually dead, if she's still looking at it, that means it's alive. The AI system they made for the dinosaurs is very well made, but there are some issues I have with it. Now, just like Resident Evil, ammo is scarce, but it's even scarcer here. The damage that you take and the damage that the dinosaur take, kind of hard to read sometimes. When you fire at a dinosaur, you know for sure you hit it when you see a blood splatter and it makes a squeaking noise. But there are times where you'll fire at it and it'll make any noise and you still technically hit it, which means you could potentially waste ammo when you're not trying to. This was never a problem in Resident Evil, and it's something that I wish they could have ironed out. When it comes to Regina taking damage, it's simple. They use the Resident Evil 2 limping system here, but they remove the indicator in the menu. There are so many phases in between one limp type and another that does not have a good visual. If it's there, I don't notice the difference. Maybe it's just a user error on my part, but I could tell the difference between when she first starts limping and I could tell when she's about to die because she's very slow. And the cool thing about this game is that when you go in and out of doors, you actually see Regina's character model and she'll limp into a door, limp out of a door, or walk straight up if she's perfectly fine. But there were times I took damage and Regina doesn't limp at all, but I took a lot of damage. Like I got hit multiple times. It just wasn't enough to cause a limp. Because there is no actual health bar or no health damage indicator like Resident Evil games, you don't know if you're about to die or not. And that was annoying at times. As cool as it is to fight the dinosaurs, Don't forget this. Remember I said that this game has the elements of Resident Evil, but at a different percentage. I feel Resident Evil 1 had a good balance of fighting, exploring, and puzzle solving. Well, it didn't have that many puzzles, but it was more about fighting and exploring, a little bit of puzzles. This game flips it, and this was actually a big criticism of Dino Crisis. This is mostly a puzzle game. Like I said, most of the quote-unquote combat is actually you running away from dinosaurs. You know those dynamic camera angles that Resident Evil is known for? This game obviously has them as well. And you'll notice a lot of the dynamic camera angles is actually at an angle where you're running towards the camera, and it's to simulate a scene of a dinosaur chasing you. That's why they look like this most of the time. So clearly this game is about running away. So if most of the time you're solving puzzles and exploring this facility, how does that work? Is it any better than it is in Resident Evil? And I'm here to say it is. It is so much better, but it's only if you like puzzle games, because like I said, one of the biggest criticisms when I look up Dino Crisis, what people thought about at the time was they felt there was too many convoluted puzzles. And that, my friends, is what makes Dino Crisis Dino Crisis. And I don't want to say that these puzzles are convoluted. These puzzles are difficult, but fair. I would say genius at times, but I can understand anyone that came from Resident Evil expecting Resident Evil with dinosaurs, not liking this. Puzzles in Dino Crisis are very similar to the ones in Resident Evil, where you'll be exploring the map, finding different items to unlock certain doors. Where they differ is the frequency of them and the challenge in them. Resident Evil, a lot of the times, once you figure out like the beginning part of a puzzle, you can go through it easy. This game's puzzle system is so freaking cool and so not going to be something that gamers today want to play. Dino Crisis is a thinking man's game. You need to thoroughly search the environment and read the documents. Now, Resident Evil had documents that you could read that had lore and even solutions to mixing and puzzle solving and stuff like that. But in this game, you can't take the documents with you. None of them. So you need to remember where the document is, what it said in it, thoroughly read it, make sure you're not doing what I did, which is sometimes they will mix solutions for puzzles inside of lore. So you'll read something just thinking this is lore, and it wasn't that I was skipping over it, I just didn't think this is also hinting to a solution to a puzzle, and you can get stuck and realize, okay, let me go back and read some of these documents, or let me try this new approach to something. Stuff like that shows you how much they trust the player. And this was during the era where there was no yellow paint. Today, these yellow paint gamers, and that's not a diss to anybody, it's just that this type of game couldn't exist today. The Capcom can't make this today. People will go crazy. They will say this is too hard, it's frustrating. I'm sitting here deciphering word puzzles because in this game there's a lot of locked doors, and there's like 3, maybe 4 different types of word puzzles. There's some where you need to just eliminate the letters that you see. Some is you eliminate the rows. Others is if they show you a bunch of numbers, each number can correspond to a letter. So 1 would be A, 2 would be B, 3 would be C. I'm in here counting my alphabets. Like I'm doing this all off the top of my head. Like I pulled out my phone, took notes and stuff. Like I'm thinking about getting out pen and paper. That is fun to me because I grew up in that time. I grew up where this is now taking me out of the video game and having me to bring in my real world detective skills to help me solve this game. People today are gonna look it up, bro. And that's one thing I want to warn you. If you get into Dino Crisis, please do not just, I prayed to God that near the end of the game, I got stuck. I didn't Google how to solve it. God helped me solve it. I prayed, he helped me to figure some things out. I was overlooking something, and I don't want to spoil it for you because it's one of the best puzzles in the game. But anyone that beat Dino Crisis, you know the last puzzle at the end of the game. Point is that when I found it out, when God helped me figure out what I was doing wrong, those aha moments, you can't beat that. Like Dino Crisis is one of those games that I've heard some people say, you never played Dino Crisis, I want you to play it, and they'll always say this, I wish I could play it again for the first time ever. I understand what they mean, because now that I know, I'm pretty sure I'll forget some of these puzzles as time goes on, but because I know certain things, it's like that one time, that one experience, that first time impression that some games have where once you know what to do, the game changes to something else. It's just like Resident Evil. Once you know the solutions to these puzzles and where to go, Dino Crisis become a speed running game, not a sense of aha anymore, because you know the solution to everything. But still in all, like, wow, like this is I was so surprised that this was really more of a puzzle game than anything. And even back then, this was a criticism. So no matter how good these puzzles were, people just wasn't looking for this in a Resident Evil style game from Capcom, which is unfortunate. But if you like games that make you think, if you like to discover things on your own, and you like that dopamine hit of like, I figured this out, I solved the puzzle, yay, Dino Crisis is for you. Now for overall exploration and the story and even some of the graphics, Dino Crisis keeps those dynamic camera angles, but now we have full polygons. There's no pre-rendered backgrounds, and the game still looks great. This Resident Evil style, Resident Evil is normally associated with the pre-rendered backgrounds, which were cool at the time, but I think that they work just well with the 3D models. It looks just perfectly fine. Now, it does keep some of that pre-rendered background stuff that I don't think works too well in the 3D environment. So there are these things called plugs. Remember I said there's chests in these games, so you collect these plugs. You need a certain amount of plugs to unlock these chests, and inside each chest there are items you can get. Green chests got health items, red chests got ammo related items, yellow ones have a mixture of both. The thing that kind of sucks is that a lot of these plugs are hidden on items that you can't see. Like, there are boxes in this game that float around, keys in this game that float around, items that you could clearly tell the difference between that and the environment and collect. These plugs are just, if you happen to go up to a desk and press the action button, you might get a plug. I don't think that was, I don't really like that, because in Resident Evil, even you could kind of still see, it was more of the pre-rendered background, but you could still at least see that there was something there, versus it's just, you don't see anything, you just so happen to get something. So you have to know where these things are hitting around at. That I didn't particularly care for. It didn't ruin anything, but it's something I didn't particularly like. There are also these movable shelves. Now, the cool thing about these is if you push these far enough, there's an item underneath it and it actually floats and you can see it. Just remember to do this, because normally if there's something you could push, there's an item there for you. Another thing about this game that's a little bit, I grew to like it, and it goes into the exploration. Like I said, you're finding these items all over the map. There's a mixing system in this game, and the mixing system is somewhat similar to the one in Resident Evil, but it's more complex. So Resident Evil, you just had to mix the herbs. In this game, you need to mix multiple different health items to get more health, bigger health, and at the bottom they'll tell you if you mix this item with this item, you'll get a greater volume or a greater strength. Now, where the item menu system is a little janky is how it functions. I don't know if this is due to the PlayStation 5's emulation of this PS1 game, or this is just how the game always ran. I just felt like in the menus, pressing the button once, up, down, left, right, don't matter, to navigate the menu just would make me go 2 steps more than I wanted to go. It was too quick. It's very unorganized compared to Resident Evil 1's simple design. You can hold way more items than Resident Evil 1, but I don't think that's an excuse for this to be so clunky feeling. Stacking items is weird, so you can only have 2 or 3 of that health item, but then you can have another health item, but you can't stack them. So it'll be the same health item, but it'll say 1 of 3 or 2 of 3 or 3 of 3. So you have 3 in this one slot, and then you have that same health item beneath it or near it, and it's its own separate thing, and you can't just combine it and make more inventory space. I thought that was dumb. I think they just did that because technically you could have so much extra health on you at once that it maybe made the game too easy, but I just thought that was all weird. Changing ammo types, each gun have different ammo types. That's fine because it's not that many things you need to navigate through, but I always thought that was strange. And this game also has 2 different menu buttons, like triangle and circle activate the menu, but then circle makes you exit out of the menu completely, but triangle makes you only go back 1 step. I don't know, like all that was a little confusing, and that's bad for a game that has you in a menu system a lot. Like at the end of the game, I still do not consistently work this menu well. Now, as for the story and the themes, now this is just Resident Evil with dinosaurs, because just like how Resident Evil was about evil scientist organization creates bio-humans, this is evil science man discovers energy source that's actually a time portal that brings dinosaurs into this world, and he's crazy and doesn't care that people are dying because of his invention, so he just lets it run free because he's crazy. That's basically this game, and you play as Regina, and you're part of a undescript, I could not find even in the manual the name of their military organization, but it's you, Regina, Gail, and Rick, the newbie sort of tech guy, And you guys need to go find, oh yes, and Cooper's here, guys. Don't forget about Cooper. You guys are supposed to find this guy named Dr. Kirk and bring him back to the government, quote unquote. Which government? I don't know. I don't know if it's USA, Japanese. I don't know. Just the government. The government wants him. The military wants him. Bring him back. And you find out that everyone at this facility is basically dying from these dinosaurs. Now, what I can say is that this game felt way more horror. They described this game as a panic horror game. Instead of survival horror. And I think that has to do with the fact that a lot of the game is running away from the dinosaurs. Dinosaurs versus zombies. Dinosaurs are way more deadlier than zombies. Zombies are slow and they just kill you kind of by overwhelming you and scaring you. Dinosaurs are animals and hunt you down, and these things don't play. And that goes into the gameplay, but also the story. Throughout the story, Regina is getting attacked by dinosaurs. Now this kind of sort of takes me out of the game because this game has quick time events. And most of the quick time events are fine. All you gotta do is, when you see it happening, press when it says danger, tap all the buttons on the controller except for start, and you'll end up winning the quick time event. The issue is that most of the time, Regina takes damage during these scenes. She's getting mauled by a dinosaur, not a dog, not some reasonable animal. Like razor sharp teeth dinosaurs are just throwing her all around. And if you survive, she just gets up and she doesn't take any extra damage than before. And it's just stupid. Like I'm sorry, it just kind of is. Now it doesn't take away the coolness factor of it, but it does make you say, is Regina a superhuman because she gets mauled by dinosaurs? Like, I'm not talking about when you are playing the game and you don't kill a dinosaur or you get attacked. I'm talking about you cannot avoid this. She's going to get mauled. This is a part of the plot. I didn't like that. I wish these scenes, maybe she just took less damage, and they're fine overall. I'm just being nitpicky, but it was a part of me that said, this is ridiculous. Like, she should be dead by now. But I can appreciate Dino Crisis because Resident Evil was more like, we're in this building, zombies are here, that's kind of weird, but we're SARS, we could take them. Regina is also a part of the military. She's a weapon specialist. She has the expertise, but the crew actually seem afraid of the dinosaurs outside of Gale. Gale's just, he's badass number one. He doesn't care about anything but the mission. Outside of him, they actually are worried because it's freaking dinosaurs and they never seen them before and they're killing people left and right. And the dinosaurs actually play into the feel of hopelessness. You feel overpowered in this game, and that feeds into the gameplay because you barely have any weapons in this game. You need to use your resources well or you're gonna die. And in the story itself and the environment itself, you really feel like you're at the odds. It's man versus a beast that they've never fought before. And I like that. The theme and the gameplay blend very well together. The overall story, there's not like no message here. There's not like a don't mess with things you're not supposed to as humans. I mean, you can take that from this story. That's something I take from it. Like, this guy, Dr. Kirk, is clearly crazy. Like, he cares so much about his experiment. He even kind of referenced himself to be some type of deity of some kind. He's clearly lost his mind because he cares so much about progressing and getting this energy source out. He doesn't care about anybody else's life. He doesn't really almost care about his outside of completing his experiment. You can make your own morals from that, get whatever you want from it, but just from a action romp, it's fine. It's a good story. Throughout the cutscenes, most of them are well voice acted, and there are some cheesy like parts in the game. Like, I like the one where Tom like pulls out his gun. I think it's like suck on this or something like that.
Rick, watch out! Chew on this!
Like, there's moments like that, and they're just great action scenes, like getting chased by the T-Rex. Oh, I don't know. This might be a spoiler. It happens at the beginning of the game, but there's a part in the game where like you run into a researcher and he's dying. He hands you an item, and then like you're like messing around and stuff, and then, you know, bam, T-Rex just busts through the glass window. And when I saw this, I said, oh, this game is gonna be awesome. Like, this is like the first maybe 15 minutes of the game. I said, oh yeah, this is gonna be an amazing game, and it was. And a cool way they wove in the story and the gameplay was also in the choices you can make. Gale and Rick will give you two different types of choices depending upon what part of the story you're in. And I noticed Gale's stuff was more action-based. Rick's was more technical, so you had to do more puzzle solving. And you can actually use this, like, be strategic. Let's say if you know you don't have a lot of ammo on you and you don't think you can make it through Gale's part, you might want to do Rick's side because you won't need to fight as much. Or if you don't want to waste time solving a bunch of puzzles, you can go do Gale's side. So you can play however you want. And the nice thing is that the only choice that affects the ending is the last choice in the game. And I actually made a choice to follow. I just chose all of Rick's options because all of Rick's options made sense. But I found a room in the game and I opened the door, but it was like during the last puzzle, and just, I guess, spoiler, when you're on the last puzzle, they don't let you leave the area till you solve the puzzle. So I unlocked the door and I was like, I want to know what's in that door before I beat the game. So I ran all the way back to that area to realize it took me to a secret area that gave me an alternate ending, which you can actually get in a different way if you chose Gail's option. So I like that. There's 3 different endings and it's all good. So Dino Crisis, did I like it? Of course I did. It was amazing. This is one of the few games that I could think of that I never had any experience with in the past, and I played for the first time, and I really enjoyed this game. This is a great game. It is something that I look forward to playing more of. I want to get the other endings. I want to unlock the extra game mode, which is kind of like a horde mode or a mercenary mode where you fight off the dinosaurs and stuff like that. I need to unlock that. You can still get infinite bullets and stuff like that if you keep playing the game and more costumes. So I look forward to playing Dino Crisis again, and I want to get into Dino Crisis 2 and 3. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Did you enjoy this review? Was it helpful? Will you be trying out Dino Crisis? If you played Dino Crisis before, what are your favorite moments? Try not to spoil it for anybody that hasn't played it, but what are your favorite moments in Dino Crisis? Let me know in the comment section. Peace out, keep gaming, God bless. Please like, comment, subscribe. Hit the hype button. If you don't know what that is, look on mobile and you'll see it. And just let me know what you think. Thank you guys for stopping by and all your support. God bless and have a great day.
Can't do this. I have rights.